What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Fit Women's Weekly podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the show. I'm Kendall. I've been a personal trainer specifically for women for over 17 years now. And in this podcast, I bring to you that knowledge as a trainer, as well as my own personal experience and struggles to help you figure out what is the BS when it comes to living a healthy, fit life, and what can you actually implement into your own life to try to get through it the best that we can, because that's all that we're trying to do, right? We're trying to adult the best way possible, treat our bodies the best that we can, and be healthy. But what does that actually mean? Because there is a lot of mess out there. There's a lot of stuff that clouds things up and makes us go, wait, am I supposed to be doing this? Am I supposed to be doing this? Is this the best type of exercise? Is this what I'm supposed to be eating? Should I take this supplement? So what's real? What's crap? And we also talk about mindset and life a lot too. So welcome to the show. I hope that you enjoy it. If you do, I put out new episodes every single week, and I've already released over 550 previous episodes. In fact, I think I'm actually coming up on my 600th episode. Man, that is freaking insane. So in saying that, that is a lot of content floating around. And if you enjoy this show, here's what you can do for me. Make sure that you have subscribed to the platform that you listen to. If you're watching this on YouTube, drop a comment down below, just letting me know what is your favorite topic when it comes to fitness and lifestyle. Is it exercise? Is it nutrition? Is it mindset? What are the things that you're looking for that I can help you with? And then, of course, make sure to leave a review and share the podcast. That is by far the most beneficial thing that you can do to help grow our amazing community of women in the Fit Women's Weekly community. All right, so let's just kind of talk about what's going to happen today. So I'm going to continue my series on commentating some new research, some news articles that I have found, or some that my husband has found. And that's what we're going to do today. Today's episode is called Exercises That Women Should Do Differently Than Men. And to quote my husband, this is what he said when he sent this to me. This is the dumbest article ever. Now, do I think that this is the dumbest article ever? No, because I do think that there is a little bit of some facts in what we're getting ready to read. But I do think that it is filled with a lot of fluff just to try to get people to read it. I'm actually not going to state the actual article because I don't want to bring negativity to it, but I do want to bring awareness to you guys listening in, because maybe you've heard, oh my gosh, I'm a woman. Should I not do this exercise? Should I be doing this instead? Well, let's break through at least what this article has to say and clear some things up. All right, so exercises that women should do differently than men. Should women really exercise differently than men? Read along as we delve deeper into the subject. When it comes to exercise, there's hardly any one size. Oh, and I got to expand the article real quick. Okay, there we go. When it comes to exercise, there's hardly any one size fits all, and exercise routines should always be tailored to one's fitness goals in mind. Whether women and men should train differently has always been a topic of discussion, and we often find articles on recommended exercises for men and women, leading us to ponder even more if that is the real case. So here's the thing that I want to specify. I'm going to read a paragraph and then kind of break it down, and we'll figure things out together. So what you find other articles recommending exercises for men and women is because people are trying to market to their specific audience, right? So for example, I always post workouts daily that'll say something like 20-minute kettlebell workout for women, leg workout for women, upper body workout for women. But does that mean that they're not good for men too? No, not at all. I'm just trying to reach my target audience and hopefully also let the platform know that I'm working with what that audience is. So that's who they show my stuff to. For example, YouTube still hasn't figured it out. YouTube, even though here we are on YouTube for this podcast, sadly, almost 75% of my content gets shown to men versus women. And that's on a YouTube algorithm thing. So me personally, every time I put out new content, I do try to put X workout, X exercises for women, so that that's the people that are going to be shown that content. But it doesn't mean that these exercises or these workouts are only for women. So yeah, of course, people outside of myself are also going to be doing the same thing. It doesn't mean that they're trying to promote different fitness for one or the other. It's again trying to talk to their ideal market. Moving on. While the fundamental principles of exercise remain the same for both men and women, our physiological and anatomical difference may warrant some adjustments. Yes. Okay, so I'm trying to see if I have notes on this or if I broke it down. All right, so yes, our bodies are slightly different because our hips, specifically our femur angle, so women have hips for childbirth, right? Men have a much more narrow stance, except for me and some women. I have a very box shape. But however, it's the same because of my hips. Our angles from our femurs are slightly different than men, and that means that we might have to make a few adjustments, but I do want to continue on and see what they say. To start with, women are blessed with broader pelvic region due to accommodate the unique demands of childbirth. There we go. Same thing. So right now, I'm on board with this article and the nurturing of offspring. Other than that, comparatively, women have softer ligaments and tendons, which makes them more prone to injury, specifically in the knees and the hips. Now, that's a little bit interesting. So yes, hips and pelvis, got it. As far as softer ligaments and tendons are concerned, I've never heard of that before. And so I did do a little bit more research. I wanted to see if that was specifically true. But I do know that that's not the reason that women are more susceptible to knee injuries, specifically ACLs. We hear a lot, especially in college age and high school, that women are more susceptible to ACL injuries in their knees. And here's the reason. It's not because of softer ligaments and tendons. It's because of their intercondylar notch. That's a very hard word for me to say. Anyways, it's the groove in the femur where the ACL passes. It's smaller in women, so the ACL itself, which is the ligament, is actually also smaller, and that's what makes it prone to injuries. Not because it's softer per se, it's just smaller. So it's something smaller, it's easier to tear. And so women usually have a wider pelvis than men, which causes them to bend their knees more towards the middle of their bodies. So they're a little bit easier to bow inward versus outward. So adding that with the shorter ACL makes them more susceptible of having injuries. And then yes, because of hormones, women do tend to be more flexible in their ligaments and tendons, but not softer. And it especially determines where you are in your cycle, where your hormones are. When women are pregnant, they have something called relaxin, which goes throughout their body. It's to help their pelvis expand to prepare for childbirth, but that actually makes everything else looser in their bodies as well. So when you are pregnant, you are actually even more susceptible to injuries like twisting your ankle or things like that because you are more mobile and those ligaments are a little bit stretched out or a little bit more flexible. But softer, that's a really weird way to say that, but I'm assuming that's kind of what they're trying to say. To demystify the age-old concepts, Times Now, so this is where I got it, timesnow.com, spoke with Ishan Ayora, a bodybuilding Indian certified personal trainer, and he said women's bodies typically have differences in muscle mass, distribution of fat, and hormonal composition compared to men. Yes, I absolutely agree with that. Instead of aiming for muscle training, women often benefit from a training approach that emphasizes strength, mobility, and overall fitness. Okay. So they wrote this article with the help of a male bodybuilder, right? Which personally, I'd prefer to see it if they had actually used a female trainer as a source, because the male doesn't really, like, I'm not saying they can't do research, but they can't emphasize or really know what it feels like to be a woman. They don't really know where they're coming from. They have no empathy towards being a woman. So I'm just wondering where he pulled his information from. Would just kind of be one way for me to go, I don't know about that. And you know that quote he said where instead of aiming for muscle training, women often benefit from a training approach that emphasizes strength, mobility, and overall function. Okay, well, Here's what's weird. If women are more flexible than men naturally, then wouldn't it make more sense that if men would actually benefit more from mobility work? Women are already mobile, according to his article. But the truth is that mobility and flexibility is the most underrated training for both sexes and should be included regularly for both. As we get older, we only get tighter and tighter especially from our lifestyles. So that should not be something that just focuses that women should focus on in their training, especially if that's something that it comes more natural to us. I think that actually, if we're trying to play this man versus female thing, that men would benefit more from mobility more regularly because that's where they lack. That's something that they suffer just naturally from. And then I also want to know, what the heck is the difference between muscle training and strength training? Strength training is literally muscle training. So that's just a really weird way to put it. And then finally, who would benefit from all three types of these things? Talking about foundational functional strength, just that means working on fitness that helps you get through everyday life, mobility and strength training, freaking everybody, men, and women. All right, so let's get to the specific exercises that this trainer says that we should be doing differently. Number 1, avoid the Smith machine. He says that women are advised to ditch the Smith machine, which is an artificial movement, and it makes the body move in a specific pattern, raising your risk of getting your knee injured. I actually am for this. I'm not a huge fan of the Smith machine. I don't like the fixed range of motion of the machine, and I think it can also lead to poor mechanics on squats. The Smith machine will often lead you, because it has that weird angle to it, lead you to the old-fashioned way of squatting, where we weren't supposed to push our knees over our toes. You're supposed to sit back onto your hips, and it leaves you in a very unnatural form of movement. It is not very functional. It does have a place. Like, I have seen people do single leg deadlifts with the Smith machine. I've seen them use it to do, I forget what they're called. They're not called hack squats, but basically where you stand in front of the Smith machine bar with it lowered very far down right below your knees, and you squat back with your knees going towards sitting onto the bar. Kind of a weird image. I'll try if on YouTube to put an image up here, and that's a great use for it. It is also one of my favorite ways, if you have access to a Smith machine, for mastering your push-ups, because you can lower it down to do incline push-ups. And then it's also great for reverse rows and for doing pull-up exercises. If you are trying to get a pull-up, you can use a Smith machine. So it's not only used for squats, but I'm also saying, he's saying that it increases your risk of getting injured, your knees injured. That to me is a little bizarre. I have never heard of a woman, I've never seen a client talk about being injured from doing squats and hurting their knees on a Smith machine bar. I think that you're probably more likely to have an injury, especially in your knees, from doing any other kind of free weight machine, dumbbells, kettlebells, barbells, and trying to do it without being properly trained, than to use it on something like this, where the range of motion is set in stone for you. And I also think that if you are trying to avoid every single exercise that is going to risk hurting your knee, then you're just going to have to buckle up and lock yourself into a house, right? Because literally anything could go wrong. Whereas doing the moves like a squat is actually going to help you strengthen the muscles around your knee to help decrease your risk of knee injuries. So just a little thought for you. Which takes us to number 2, which is squats. Isaiah says that the basic form of performing squats remains the same for both genders. However, women may consider adjusting the frequency and the reps. Women may have a wider pelvis, which can affect the angle of the femur and alignment of the knees, and proper form in exercises like squats is crucial to prevent injuries. This actually really annoys me, because again, I am trying to make sure that you guys have the right information to help benefit your life, improve your fitness overall. And when bad information like this is being put around the internet, then somebody who's a complete beginner might look at this and go, oh my gosh, I read that a personal trainer told me because I'm a woman, I shouldn't squat very often, that I should keep my reps really low and not do it very often, which frequency. And that's just terrible training advice. So here's what I go. He recommends lower reps and frequency because of our hips and femurs. No. Instead, make a few simple tweaks to your form, which actually goes completely against what he says, because he says at the beginning, basic form for performing squats remains the same for both genders, whereas that is not the case. For a woman to be able to sit down into your squat, sit into that pocket, she's likely going to have to bring your stance to a wider stance. So you want to take your feet probably a little bit wider than hip width, and then you're most likely going to have to turn your feet out a few degrees to be able to keep your feet planted on the ground and keeping your torso up tall as you squat down. That's going to help adjust for that femur angle. Whereas men, and I'm going to use my husband here for this example, he can sit with his feet stacked directly under his hips. His feet are planted straight forward, and he can sit straight down. When I try to do that, my heels come up, my chest starts to fall, and it's just not very comfortable. I can't get into a very good depth with that while maintaining a proper squat. So what I have to do to adjust is I take my feet wider, I turn them out a little bit, and bam, I'm able to sit down just as low as he is into that like low Asian, you've heard the term Asian squat, and I'm able to do that from that position. It doesn't mean that I have to decrease my reps. I don't have to decrease the weight that I use. I don't have to decrease the frequency, because squatting is a fundamental movement that helps us function daily. It makes you recover from sitting too much. It helps with your knee health. It obviously helps with your hamstrings, your glutes, and your quads. It is a proper movement that we should be doing in most of our training in some form or capacity, whether that's some sort of squat variation or just the basic squat. To me, saying that you should do it for only limited reps and frequency also means that you should limit the amount of time that you go to the bathroom per day. So make sure you're not properly hydrated, because otherwise, if you squat on a toilet too often, bad news bears for those knees. This is absolutely terrible training advice. The next one is opt for reverse lunges. Women should opt for backwards lunges instead of forward ones, as the forward lunges can increase pressure that falls on the knee joint. Women put even more pressure on the joint than men do. However, during the reverse lunge, the hamstrings and the glutes absorb the shock. Now, I'm not totally against this one, to be honest. If you have knee issues, then yeah, reverse lunges are probably the best bet for you. But I also suggest doing walking lunges, because walking lunges is almost going to mimic going upstairs, and you can't walk backwards when you go up and down stairs, right? So doing a forward walking lunge is a little bit gentler on the knees than just doing a forward lunge where you're pushing back off of that front foot to come back to your starting position. And so you're still being able to work multiple planes of going in a reverse for a reverse lunge, or forward and a walking lunge. And yes, having a wider stance is going to help activate more of the glutes and the hamstrings more than the quads. And having that shorter stance can put a little bit of pressure again on the knees. So if you have knee injuries, sure, reverse lunge it, walking lunges. However, if you don't have knee injuries, then the more angles that you're able to accomplish an exercise while keeping good form, whether that's doing forward lunges, side to side lunges, reverse lunges, curtsy lunges, is what's going to give you the more bang for your buck and work more of your muscles and work on mobility as well. Number 4. Focus on pelvic exercises. One of the key differences between men and women lies in your pelvic floor. Women, especially those who have been through childbirth, would benefit greatly from pelvic floor exercises. To work your pelvic floor, you need to incorporate exercises like Kegels. They help in strengthening the muscles that support the bladder, uterus, and the bowels. These exercises can be particularly beneficial for women in preventing and managing issues such as urinary incontinence which is rather relevant for women during the post-pregnancy as well as for aging women. Yeah, I'm all for pelvic floor health, absolutely. Also, big fan of working the transverse abs, which acts like a belt along your abdominal muscles to help things pulled in, and together with your pelvic floor is going to help keep you nice and healthy. But pelvic health isn't just for women, especially as men get older. It's really important for them. They also have a pelvic floor. They have a pelvis, right? It's also very important for them to have proper pelvic floor health as well, which I feel like is something that's often not talked about enough in men's health. And, they don't think, they're almost embarrassed, I think, to talk about it. But I do think that pelvic floor health exercises is just as important for men as it is for women. It's just more frequently talked about and more common in women's health. But I think that pelvic health, like Kegels, there are a ton of different exercises as well. And working those transverse abs is key to go. So that one I can get behind. And then finally, the last one, y'all, is modifying high impact exercises. Women are more prone to joint laxity, again, flexibility, and conditions like osteoporosis. To mitigate impacts on joints, consider modifying high impact exercises. For instance, replace jumping exercises with low impact alternatives, such as marching in place or doing low impact variations of exercises like squats. However, he just told us we shouldn't really be squatting. What? He added, though there are no strict rules, some women may find benefit in incorporating HIIT workouts into their cardio routine, aiming up to 3 times per week. But HIIT workout is literally high intensity training workouts, and he's telling us to avoid high impact exercises, which high impact exercises are often included in HIIT workouts. So I find this whole chunk was more of like, wait, I need a 5th one. What can it be? I'm going to talk about modifying high impact exercises. This is total BS. If you're healthy, you have healthy mobility, you have healthy joints, you have good, healthy muscle awareness, then there is no reason to avoid high impact exercises. Now, obviously, if you have a health concern preventing you from do those, yes, there are absolutely other ways that you can go about with your workouts. But high impact exercises can be extremely beneficial for women, especially because of osteoporosis. So we know that to build healthy muscle is going to help us to also build healthy bones. So strength training helps decrease our risk of osteoporosis. However, high impact exercises like plyometric jumping also adds loads to our body that tells our body we need to make sure that our bones are very strong to be able to handle this impact. So what I'm saying is this is total crap, because high intensity, high impact exercises can decrease our risk of osteoporosis. Not only that, but it also helps to build strength. It helps us to build awareness with our body called proprioception, understanding where our body is in space. That can also help to go over into other areas of our life, like if we're walking and all of a sudden our foot rolls off of the edge, we're able to catch ourselves a little bit faster. It helps build mind and muscle awareness so that our brains can talk to our muscles faster for reaction time, and it builds some serious strength. So plyometric, high-impact exercises do not need to be avoided, again, if you are healthy and able to do them pain-free. And even if you can't do certain exercises like squat jumps, you can do something called squat jacks, which are a little bit less intense. You can also start with just squat hops, barely hopping off of the ground. Jumping jacks are a plyometric exercise. You can start very, very simple and work your way up, but it is not something that you need to avoid. And I think that was all. That one I did not even read my notes because it got me. In fact, my note said, get the F out of here on this. Jumping or plyo can help build bone strength. If you are healthy, there's no reason that you can't work out in high intensity. Not only for bone health, but also strength, mind-body connection, and even mental health can improve. That's right. Mental health has been shown to be elevated or improved. Risk of anxiety, decreased depression from doing high intensity training. Get those endorphins moving, ladies. So basically, I'm going to give this article a thumbs down. The only thing that I could really get behind was the Smith machine and the pelvic floor. Everything else makes me raise an eyebrow and go, they were just trying to get clicks. They were just trying to get traffic to their website so they can show some advertisements and make some money. The overall arching information here is just poor information. So that's the article. Before I sign off for the day, I do want to just give you guys a little bit of a heads up. I have been loving doing the podcast this way. We're on Wednesdays. It's more informational. I have like a specific topic that we sit down and cover. And then on Fridays are my time to sit down and have girl talk with you guys, share what's been going on in the world of Fit Women's Weekly, share what's been going on in my life. So I don't want you to miss out on any of those episodes. The Friday episode I do not release as a YouTube video though. So if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to head over to whatever platform is that you listen to your podcast on, and make sure to subscribe so that you can get into those Friday episodes as well. And then the last thing that I want to mention, and I'm just trying to find the website really fast, is that I often get asked, what other podcasts do you listen to? So for the next several weeks, I want to end the podcast just highlighting some of my favorite podcasts that I get to listen to. And so the one that I'm going to do today and for the next few weeks is from my friend Bria, and it is the Period Whisperer. And if you are somebody in your 30s, 40s, 50s, then I absolutely recommend going to listen to her, because she talks about all things hormone health, all the things that we battle with that we don't even realize necessarily that we're battling with. We think it's normal as we're going through this period of perimenopause, maybe going into menopause. We're having so many things going on with our body, so many hormone changes, and Bria talks about all of those things in the Period Whisperer, and she is so passionate about it, and her episodes are just so conversational, which you guys know that I love. So definitely check it out, Bria, the Period Whisperer, and I will link that down in the show notes. And if you have a podcast that I should check out that you think that other listeners would like, send it my way. I'll listen in on it as well, and we'll see if we can add that to the list of the coming episodes and the coming podcast that I like to highlight. All right, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Again, make sure, share the episode, slide into my DMs. What is my Instagram? Oh yeah, Kendall Boyle Fitness. And if you have any questions, I am here for you. I love talking to you guys. Make sure that you hit up fitwomensweekly.com so that you don't just have to listen to me. We can actually train together. You can get coaching. I put out new workouts every day, Monday through Friday. I film them live. I coach you through it. I answer questions. I talk to every single person that either comes live or does the workout later and leaves a comment. So you're not just getting the workouts, you're getting the workout partner, which is so important. You're getting the motivation, you're getting the accountability, and you're getting the personalized training that you deserve. Whether you're working out at home or not, you deserve to have a coach that's going to make sure that you're getting the right workout for you and your goals. So that's at fitwomensweekly.com. Again, I will make sure to put the link down in the show notes for that too. All right, guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me. Talk to you later.